Hey guys, this is H-Town Wheelhouse with Stroh's 411. I just wanted to sit down with a friend of mine from across the pond. We have Stevie Proud, who's actually joining us from Manchester, England. And with everything going on in the world, I've been like, man, I've got to make time to sit down with Stevie. He has been a friend for, I guess, about a year. He recently made a trip last season to
hmm
Minute Maid Park. Unfortunately, we weren't able to meet up, but he met a ton of Astros fans, and maybe some of y'all on here on Stros 411, he's met y'all. So, Stevie, tell us a little bit about yourself. We want to kind of get started with your backstory. How does a guy from Manchester, England, not wear a Manchester United shirt, but he's got an Astros jersey, and he's an avid Astros fan? How does that happen?
It's the tricky one because, like I say, everyone wants to know that, and I understand why. I really do. It's an oddity because not only am I into baseball, but the Astros as well. So I guess it's one of those things where, like, kind of growing up, was really, really obsessed with America. I was really obsessed with American culture, its history. It always kind of grabbed me, whether it be through, kind of music and cinema or history, just things like that. And I think, as I got older, you're obviously going to run into baseball. It's ingrained in the culture, it's ingrained in the education systems, the history. It's just such a huge part of American culture. So you will run into it at some point. You will be magnetized to it. And I remember kind of hearing about it when I was younger, but obviously not understanding it at all. Maybe not wanting to properly invest my time into it. And then as I got older, I became kind of transfixed with Texas in particular. I have no idea how it happened. It's like I always say, it's like a mythical thing. Uh, it's just an oddity. I just became obsessed with Texas in particular as a state and a place. And I would just say from there, it's like I just grew this obsession with Texas. Um, so that kind of came slightly before getting into baseball, and then I would say, around sort of 2012 mark, I started to see little clips and segments of baseball, because it was never really that big here. Truth be told, I doubt it ever really, really will be. Not in in the way that it is in America. So they have these little clips knocking around, and I remember kind of hearing the name Rangers, but not really knowing who they were. They would kind of mention it in the highlights or whatever, and then they would talk, or I would see the Astros, and it was like straight away I was like, these guys are very, very different. The color schemes, the attitude, the players caught my eye. Just something I liked. And again, I can't really explain it. It's just like you're magnetized, you're drawn to it. It's mythical in a way for me.
That's the way
And
we feel about the Rangers too. We're like, who are they? Like, are they a team?
yeah,
We
like
give them a
it's
hard time. We give them a
this
hard time. It's a,
this is the thing.
Stevie, I don't know if you realize this, or maybe you do because you're active on Twitter. You see the Astros
Mm,
fan base. There is a Houston versus Dallas, rivalry. And so,
oh yeah,
there's, I'm
yeah,
sure they have
yeah,
jokes about Houston. We have jokes about Dallas, but
for sure,
but
yeah.
when you look at the historical perspective, if you think about like the name Texas Rangers and how
Mm,
famous like Texas Rangers are globally,
oh, for
like
sure.
we have a
Yeah,
museum for the Texas
yeah,
Rangers,
yeah,
not the
yeah,
team, but the actual
yeah.
Rangers, and they're mythologized, or I don't know how you say it. They are written about
Mm,
methodically in
yeah,
films all over the world.
yeah.
And so you would think, because when I went to Italy, Stevie, back in 1998, the
Mhm.
first two questions I got was, do you know Walker, Texas Ranger? And do you know who JR is from Dallas? That was like an 80s TV show. So like they all assumed like Texas Rangers was like a thing. So, I mean,
Yeah.
personally, I would think, oh, well, if you're obsessed with Texas, the Texas Rangers
Mm,
has the star badge and stuff.
mm.
So I think it's cool that you latched onto the Astros.
I think it's just like I always reiterate this as well. Is like I think another reason why is because I had this kind of strange connect. I mean, it's clearly there now, but I think I latched onto its unique. It's almost like, again, it's like it had that melting pot of like Mexicana. It just had that Mexican vibe going on, and that's something else I'm really, really, really obsessed with. I mean, very, very interested in. And I just kind of thought, you've got Mexico meets Texas meets this melting pot of cultures. And maybe it was all imagined, but it just felt right. It fit. It ticked all the boxes.
No, yeah,
And, you know,
I don't know if you know that. I mean, since I teach Texas history,
mhm.
I'll be starting my 7th year teaching that class, and every year I learn more and more and more and more about Texas history,
For
and
sure, for
one of
sure.
the
Yeah,
things a lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
historians like to say is, well, we stole Texas from Mexico, and if you dive into the history and you look at Santa Anna, I won't even get into that, but he became a dictator, and that's why those Texans that were actually settlers were invited to Texas from Mexico because they didn't have an economy and they
Mm,
knew the resources they had, so they needed to build an economy. And then when Santa Anna kind of
mm.
duped everybody, Stephen F. Austin, who's the father of Texas, actually helped put Santa Anna into office. And then Santa Anna became a centralist because he wanted to be the Napoleon of the West. And so Texas does have a deep history going
Wow.
all the way back to the conquistadors. I'll give you a
Mm,
little bit of Texas history. The very first surgery was performed on Texas soil by Cabeza de Vaca, a famous Christian
wow.
conquistador who actually his faith and his
Mm,
friendliness with the Indians and the natives is actually what helped him survive. I would look up Cabeza de Vaca. He has his own narrative that he wrote.
for
It's
sure.
amazing.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, so there is a deep
Yeah.
culture, and I mean, there's a strong Hispanic
Yeah.
culture. I think with
Yeah.
baseball today, we've embraced the Latin
Oh, for
American
sure. For
cultures,
sure.
and it
For
really
sure.
melds
Yeah.
well
I,
with our
yeah.
base.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. It's like I wasn't, naive enough to think, oh, Houston's is the only team that has that link, but it just felt stronger. I really can't. Sometimes I struggle to put it into words. I just connected with them, and I think that's the beauty of it almost, because you just think you were drawn to America, then you were drawn to Texas as a state, then you were drawn to Houston, then you were drawn to the Latin, culture, and you think that's what Houston and Houston Astros do so well, that perfect blend of just amazing, amazing things, and I just love it.
Now over there in England, is there an understanding, or do they know the connection that Houston has with the space, with all, going to the moon, with mission control? Is that something that is something
I would,
y'all are concerned about or talk about? Because I mean, to us, that's why the Astros obviously are the Astros. They're astronauts. That's Houston. That's why, like your hat, you're
mm,
wearing the
mm,
old
mm.
dome and the orbiting circles around is a
Yeah, yeah.
symbol of the that's why we at Stros for One did the little spaceman and stuff like that. But is that something
Yeah,
that in England
exactly.
you're
Yeah,
taught
yeah, yeah.
growing up? I mean, is that something y'all talk about mission control, or is that not kind of like that's American culture?
It's an interesting thing because a lot of my friends are kind of, I'm going to put it, in a way like space nerds,
Okay.
They're mad on space exploration and NASA and things like that, science and stuff. I, however, am not, but I understand, the historical connection. I mean, put it this way, when I first came to Houston, of course, I went to, Johnson Space Center.
Right.
I had to go. It's just what you do. It's
That's
part of
five
pop
minutes.
culture. I mean,
That's 5 minutes from
exactly.
my house.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I actually
I
live right
thought you
down the
meant it take
road.
5 minutes to get there. I was like,
No, man, that's like 5 minutes from my house.
I mean, I had to do it. And I think, like, what I would say is it's such a huge part of history and culture that if you know your stuff, it's Houston, it's
Right.
Space City. But if you don't know your stuff, you're still going to know it. You're still going to know it's in Houston. You're still going to know it's something you've got to do and visit at some point in your life. But, it's an odd one, really, because I think Houston as a whole, I would say that is probably what it's most well known for, if you have to say anything. But, again, Mr. Nutcase there, I knew it for baseball before I knew about the space.
Right. No,
I mean,
yeah,
I knew
definitely.
where it's just one of those things. It sounds ignorant, but of course you know it. You know it's in Houston, but it's not the thing that drew me to Houston, if you see what I mean. But I know people. I mean, this is a good example. I mean, on my recent trip last year, I was in the queue. The airport was an absolute nightmare, to be honest with you. But, I was there, I didn't care. But I got talking to some people in the queue who come from, France or England or wherever. There was obviously a couple of Americans in the line. And they got talking to me because obviously we're bored, there's nothing else to do. They heard the accent, whatever. And I had an Evan Gattis jersey on.
Okay.
He's the man for me. But I was there, and they didn't even know what I was wearing. It was more just like, oh, so what are you here for then? Are you here for NASA, or are you here for Galveston, or are you here for this, or are you here for that? I was like, no, I'm just here for the Astros. They're like, what? Who are they? There was a lot of people just obviously outside of America who had no clue what I was talking about.
Right.
But they were like, you're here for just baseball. I was like, obviously more than that, but this is the driving reason why I'm here. And that's the thing, it's got a lot to offer, Houston. But if you're only into certain things, then you're only going for that one path. For me, I'm just obsessed with everything Houston. I mean, it gets more and more, in depth as the years go on. It gets down to food, culture, history, everything. I lose my mind over it. I mean, I see that as my adopted city now. And I take pride in that, and I know people, embrace me for that, and that's an amazing feeling. But in terms of the NASA thing, obviously, if you know your stuff, that's Houston. You know that.
Right. Yeah, definitely. It's really cool to hear a different perspective. I mean, I've been in the Houston area since I was, I think, 17 months old. My dad actually was a paint. Yeah, so he grew up in Florida. He was going to college. I think he dropped out of college because he
Mm-hmm.
started his own like paint contracting business. And he had a pretty
Mm-hmm.
successful contracting business. And then around 77 is when there was this huge economic boom in Houston. And my dad basically sold his company to his brother, and him and his best friend, they were like, we're moving to Houston. They went down and they called the wives and they're like, we're going to Houston. And I was 2 when we moved out here. And so I'm not a native, it's weird. I'm not a native Texan, and I don't tell a lot of people that because it kills me that I'm not a native Texan because I
Same
feel
for
like I
me.
am. Yeah. I mean, I'm a native Floridian, but I don't go around telling people I'm from Florida all the time. I tell them I'm from Texas.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, what other state can you go to a hotel and get a waffle in the shape of your state? I don't see people going to the Motel 6 in New Hampshire and getting a New Hampshire waffle. It's just not the same. Not even a California waffle. That would be weird. But we are very proud. We are very proud of our city, and I really don't want to get into the whole
Mm-hmm.
2017 scandal thing, 'cause I know that's really been worked over. You and I have
Yeah.
talked about that on the podcast.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
your perspective, being overseas, and I mean, you guys have had lockdown orders. Y'all have had different things you've dealt with. Do you think
Mm-hmm.
that there will be some sort of season this year, or do you think that as time goes on that the more we go forward without a real plan in place, the less chance we have of having a season?
It's a really difficult one. There was a small Houston News Twitter feed I was reading the other day. I mean, I certainly didn't recognize the channel or the operator, but it was, it was asking the question, you know, um, yes or no sort of thing, is it too soon kind of thing. And there was lots of like interesting comments below, that's what Twitter's good for, debating opinion. But I just answered with what I'll say now, which is selfishly, yes, let's go. I don't care. Let's play ball. I want to see it. I want to see our guys. I miss them. I miss our team winning and performing well. Let's go. But realistically, on a spiritual context, I would say absolutely not. Let's just stop it. Let's restart. You have to think about, the levels that it will reach to, which is insane. It's not just the players. It's the players' family. It's the people who are at the ballpark, not audience, but people in general. It's the coaching staff, it's the management, it's everybody involved in that. Whether there be an audience there or not, no merch sellers there or not, no bar staff there. It really doesn't matter. It's people here, and I think some people are taking it lightly, and this thing can potentially end people's lives. Why play around with that? Let's just stop. Let's do it fresh. Let's get everyone retrained. Let's get them all up to scratch. Let's get them all fit and well and healthy. And let's start again next year. Let's just have a great season next year,
Right.
Obviously, it's not that simple for some people. I understand that. It's just my opinion. But the more I think about it, no, let's just start again next year,
Yeah, no, yeah, I totally get that. And on this issue, I can see both sides of the coin. I can see the people who are against it. I can see people who are for. I know,
For sure.
I know for us, actually, because Texas is opening up May 31st to a baseball, pro and little league and stuff. We actually have our first practice scheduled for May 31st, the day it opens up. And the league has told the parents, your kids don't have to play, but if they do, they're taking it very seriously. They're like, this is what we're going to do. We're not going to have the big water cooler in the dugout. We're going to make sure players, after the game aren't high-fiving. There's just all kinds of different things. I think personally that we've got enough guys with enough ingenuity and smarts that if they really put their heads together, they could do something safe, because this is what I compare it to. We have a local store, and I'm sure you've seen the commercials if you watch the local feeds of HEB. HEB does a huge service to the community. Like every one of their stores, every one of their stores is different to that community, right? It's molded for that area. And even in their self-checkout line, where you're 6 feet apart anyways, they put up plastic partitions now in between each register, see-through and everything. So I look around and I see the ingenuity, and I see that people go in and out of Walmart. I see people go in and out of restaurants for takeout. I see people doing things that to me is like, if we can do all this stuff on a bigger scale, then surely Major League Baseball can figure out a way to do this stuff safely. Like if you look at the KBO and how they're playing baseball. So I think if they can figure out how to do it safely, then I say do it. But I am not ever going to knock someone's opinion, because what I see a lot on Twitter or social media is the second you have an opinion, people are just waiting. They're just like, it's like they're like these keyboard, they're keyboard commandos, and they're looking and they're lurking
keyboard
in the
warriors,
dark.
isn't it?
They've got all this strength behind it.
It's the keyboard.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I mean. I've seen some pretty heated comments on there, and hell no, I'm not arguing. I'm not going to do that on there. But people love it. They love it. They love it. They have to be right about everything, and it's like, let's just let the feed run. How about that? You say you say what you've got to say, and let's just let it run. But no, and I think at the end of the day, it's like I was talking the other day, and I was saying, if you can guarantee, you've raised an interesting point there, Brett, because if you can guarantee these things, for everybody involved,
Right.
from the players across
Right.
all the sections, you can guarantee it, okay. But my worry is that is a lot of guarantees to make.
Mm.
That's the only thing.
Right.
But as I say, you're wrestling with the subconscious because
Yeah.
deep
Yeah.
down, you want what you love back. We all want baseball back. This is our sport. We love it. We love our guys. We love seeing the city of Houston win, and we want that. But ultimately, there's just those underlining factors where you think, there's a lot of unknowns in it and a lot
Right.
of uncertainties in it. It's tricky. It's a tricky question, isn't it?
It is.
It's
It
a good
is.
one, but
Yeah.
it's a tricky one.
So okay.
It's
So I want to go back to your Minute Maid Park experience. Okay. That was your second time to go, right? Um,
yeah.
what what
Well,
is what is your favorite food or beverage when you go to Minute Maid Park? Like I go to Minute Maid Park, I have to have the funnel cake. I have to have the burger. Well, I mean, do you have or do you like not like American food or what? I mean, what is it? Tell me.
oh no, I'll tell you now, Brett. Like American food to me is like, there's this thing, there's this thing in England where a lot of people will go, "Oh my God, it's too rich, it's too salty, it's too, it's just too rich and salty and unhealthy or whatever."
Right.
And it's like, yeah, that's kind of what I want, really. Life, you need some fun in life. If we are going to go down those paths, bring it on. American food is amazing to me. I mean, my favorite is Mexican. And that's the other thing about Houston that I love before we do go into this question is it's Mexican food on tap. People don't understand we've maybe got, I'm talking single digit Mexican restaurants in England.
Right.
There isn't the community here. There's not the food here. So I always source out the gold when I go to America, but particularly Houston. I have to have nothing but Mexican because I can't get it here. It's my favorite food, and I think it's more my favorite because it's like gold. You've got to try and find it. You guys out there, you're spoiled. You don't even realize it. You
Right.
can go Mexican anytime you want.
Yeah.
But I did have. God, I really wish I could remember the name of it. It was upstairs, second level, I believe, and I think it was called something like tater tots or something.
Tater
Possibly,
tots?
possibly. I can't remember because I was just eating so much stuff, and people were actually offering me food as well. So I honestly don't even remember half the
You were
stuff
like
I
you were
had.
like the you're like the king of England. You're like bring me all the you were like bring me all the finest meats and cheeses throughout all the land.
Yeah, well, everyone's so kind out there. I mean, you're all lovely people. It's like I was like, taking things from right, left, and centre. As you were sat with someone or whatever. So to tell you the truth, I probably had most of it, but I don't remember. Like
Wow.
I just remember. I think there was definitely a couple of things I missed. For sure. Next visit, I'll get those done. One that sticks out to me is this something? Is it a? I think it's like a burglary type place. It's got like the word trailer in it. I think.
Okay, are you talking about the tacos that are street tacos?
It could very well have been, yeah,
Okay,
because
there was okay. So we have Torchy's tacos.
it's
We
that, it's
Torchy's
that.
tacos. Yes.
Now that was incredible to me. Again,
Oh yeah,
there
Torchy's is great.
might be people watching this like, oh my God, get this guy out of here. But you got to remember, I don't get these things.
No,
But
Torchy's is good. Torchy's is good.
they had an amazing. Again, forgive me, my
No, that's
naivety, but
okay.
the cheese sauce, hot cheese sauce,
Uh-huh.
Mexican
Queso?
hot sauce, queso.
Yes. There you go.
Oh my God.
Steve's like, hey, we need to get you a shirt that says "In Queso Emergency, call the Astros" or something like. We need to make you a shirt and send that to you.
Oh, I'd love that. I'm telling you. Because after that, there was a girl that was on a tour. We were on the tour and we got chatting, and she was like, "Oh, you've got to try this queso. You've got to try it." And I'd never had it, and it was on the Friday or whatever it was. And I'm not joking. Everywhere I went after that, I had it to try it at different places.
Yeah. Well, because if you go to some places have what's called queso blanco, which is a white queso,
Right,
which is made with more of a
right.
mozzarella.
Yeah,
Then you have
yeah,
the chili con queso where they put like meat
yeah.
in it. I mean, oh
Right.
yeah, queso. It can be done
Yeah.
really well. Queso can be kind of bad if it's not
Yeah,
quality.
for sure. For
It
sure.
can be like too watery or too thick. I mean, it's queso
Yeah.
is definitely you have to be a
That's what I
connoisseur.
say. I mean, I know it's kind of like, we're talking about ballpark food, but I was pretty impressed with that place, to be fair. But however, I didn't have a bad meal. I mean, this is the thing. I've been to a couple of different ballparks because I love baseball, and if I get the lucky, chance to go to America, it takes all year to save up for one trip. But if I get to go, again, I do Mexican food wherever I go. But basically, I do a ballpark as well. And I will say this, I'm not even being biased. I think Minute Maid Park has the best food in any ballpark,
Wow,
period.
wow.
Fact. I just think it does. And I've not done many ballparks, but I've done others. And it's like, it's average, it's average. Maybe the beer's good, but it's very, very average. You go to Minute Maid Park and it's just like the selection. You could get like the most mediocre meal and it just tastes amazing. But then again, again, it could be the novelty of the fact that I'm British and that you can't get that food that easily here. Maybe it's that as well. I don't know. But
So,
beer wise, I couldn't tell you because, again, thank you to you all out
right.
there. The people just give me beer all the time.
That's funny. So what is
I
that?
don't even know what I was getting half the time.
That's
It's just
funny. You were like, is this like is any of this stuff laced with cyanide or like am I getting poisoned here? What are these people doing?
You
Um,
see, before I came, people like, I'll get you a beer. I'll make sure I get you a beer. And I was like, okay, fair enough. Like I didn't believe it.
right.
And literally, this is where I've said it so many times, but I'll say it again. Uh, guys and girls out in Houston, big hearts, big souls.
That's
Never
awesome.
seen anything like it in my life. And the nicest people, I'm telling you, the nicest people, in my opinion, just hands down. Very similar to the people in my city up north. They will do anything for you. We always say they give you the shirt off your own back.
Right.
Lovely people, down to earth. But when they said they'd get you a drink, they meant they'd get you a drink, and that was why I just ended up not knowing what the hell I was drinking.
You're like,
Because it was just okay, and I didn't believe that people could be so kind. That might not mean something to someone, but it does to me. And I think people in Houston, I'm sure they are very proud, but they
right.
should be damn proud. Damn
That's
proud.
awesome.
Big, big hearts and souls.
So what is it? What about the ballpark? What is like if you could pick one feature of the ballpark,
Hmm.
one thing of the ballpark, what was your like when you walked in and you saw, X, Y, or Z, you saw this, you're like,
Hmm.
wow, that was phenomenal. And I know you went
Hmm.
on the tour, but
Hmm.
could you pick out one thing that just to you stood out in the stadium at Minute Maid in both of your trips?
I
Maybe one.
mean, I will say it like this, just because I have to say it like this, is you guys out there, you can go whenever you want. So it's probably just everything's just really normal. You probably go and have a good time and all that stuff. But
Right.
to me, I I had goosebumps both times because when you have seen those games on TV all year round in England and you feel very far away, and that's what you've seen on screen, the first thing it gets you is Minute Maid Park. The
Mm,
whole thing is just mind blowing. Mind blowing. The atmosphere, seeing it in real time. I've done it on both occasions. I've gone in on my own. I've stood at the main entrance and I just took it all in 15 minutes, just standing there static. I've had
Wow.
people kind of looking at me like, this guy's crazy. Is he okay? Yeah. Well, I just want to take it all in because that's me. I'm there then. This is me now. You know, I'll be here for a couple of days. But I think it's got to be the train. It's
Yeah.
got to be. You know, it's just got to be. Every time, it's got to be. And it is what it is.
Were there any home runs hit when you were at either one of those games by the Astros?
Plenty.
Nice.
I think they only lost one game on my recent visit. They only
Okay.
lost one, which I think was so annoying because I think it was the Saturday against the Angels, and it was so infuriating. Such an infuriating game. And for a Saturday night, I thought I wouldn't mind a win here. You know, sadly it was a loss, but every other game was a win. And you know, you hear those fireworks go, that
Yeah.
dynamite go off, and you can't really top that. So
Now,
it all just feeds into the train. The train is what gets you. I mean, you know, it
yeah.
just is.
Did you go to the Friday night fireworks game? One of those games?
I did, yeah, yeah. I stayed back for that. Yeah,
Was that?
that was amazing. That
Yeah,
was
they do a
phenomenal.
good job.
For me as well, I have a little bit of a dream slash confession to make. Is I've always wanted to attend a game with the roof open. I've never been yet when the roof's been open. So, you know, people were saying, oh, you'll see the roof open. They do the roof open fireworks. So I don't know whether I was more, you know, amazed by the fact the roof was open or
That's
the
funny.
fireworks. It was all a bit mind blowing, you know. But you know, that's kind of actually what I had. My dream was to do that this year, was to come for opening week, because I know they always tend to have the roof open on opening week, because I've always wanted to come on opening week and also attend games with the roof back. So it's not to be, maybe another year, but that's something that I've always wanted to do. But you know, yeah, it would have to be the train. You know, I know it's probably a standard answer, but just what it is. You
No,
know.
that's awesome. No, you know, it's cool because you actually take, like, hearing you describe it and hearing your excitement reminds me of, in like, this actually a compliment, reminds me of when you see, like, kids come into the ballpark for the first time. It's a very, and
Sure, for
that's what I've
sure,
always loved
for
about
sure.
baseball. I was at a Rockets game
Mm,
one time, Steve, and I was sitting next to some businessmen, and they were all from, I
mm,
think two of them were from England, two of them were from Spain. And so they started talking to me because they noticed I had my son with me. And one guy, and I'm not going to try to do a British accent, but he goes, "You have your son with you. It's a bit odd that he's at a sporting event with you." And I said, "Why?" He goes, "Because in England, it's the dads who go and the moms and the kids stay home. And it's a really centered around the older guys." And he said, "I see a lot of families here." And he goes, I
mm,
did an experience seeing football live with my family. And he said, "It's really
mm,
admirable to see
mm,
families." He said,
mm.
"Even courtside, you see little kids." And he said, "You probably see more families now." But he said, "When I was growing up, that wasn't the case." And I thought that was an interesting perspective.
It's a perspective that I can't understand. I can't relate to, unfortunately, because um, as I've said so many times, I only really follow baseball. It's the only
Right.
sport I've ever really followed. I've attended a couple of, as you guys would call it, you know, soccer games, but um, I've only attended it in its modern form, which would be very family driven. You know, maybe that was just his personal
Right.
experience, you know, growing up, maybe. Because to me, you know, I had my family like begging me to go to football games when I was growing up. They were desperate to get me into football, you know, and I never tacked onto it. I never liked it. I never really will. I mean, I watch England play. I love seeing my country play. But other than that, no. So I really don't have the experience myself. But maybe it was just his personal experience. But I mean, you've heard the phrase before, or you've heard the mentionings of it before. What is unique in American sports, and particularly baseball, is that rival fans will sit with other rival fans,
Right. Exactly.
and it doesn't matter what age you are, it doesn't matter, what creed you are, religion, nothing. You're just all together in one place. Again, another reason why I love baseball. You do not get, much more unity than baseball.
Right.
I don't care what chit chat's going on the internet, on Twitter, all these keyboard warriors, all these people want to rep, things. It's unity at the end of the day. I've seen it when I've been these games, and it's an amazing experience, and that is something that America should be very proud of, and particularly the
Awesome.
sport of baseball, seriously, because it's very, 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 very unique, and it's unity. We need more of that in life. So
Right.
it's a beautiful thing.
So let's do this because we've got about 2 minutes and 40 seconds left on our time here.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I want to say thanks for coming on. I mean,
My
this is
pleasure,
awesome.
anytime.
I'm looking forward to uploading this to Stroh's 411, and I hope we
Sure,
get people watching this, and I'll let you know about the response, and we'll put it on
sure.
Twitter. But what is like a message you want to send from across the pond to Astros Nation? Maybe something positive, maybe something something you're thankful for. Anything, any shout outs or anything like that.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, at the minute, I think we just all need to unite, stop, just come together. Let's have some unity because we're going through some difficult times. I think at the end of the day, whether we have baseball this season or not, let's not think about that too much. Let's think about the people around us. Let's stay healthy and stay strong, because at the end of the day, baseball will carry on. The city of Houston will carry on and the Astros will carry on. And at the end of the day, we just need to be thankful we're alive and that we're here and that, we're healthy, and at the end of the day, um, life's too short to be worrying about whether baseball will be carrying on. Let's think about the bigger picture. And I'll say this, it's an absolute pleasure to be a part of this family online because it's another way to connect.
Yeah,
So we should all be trying to do that. Let's just come together as much as we can.
definitely. I never would have thought even 10 years ago I would be connecting with Astros fans from Manchester, England. So I just think that's cool. But man,
You know what
dude,
though? This is the thing.
yeah,
The world is a lot smaller than what you think. It's just about
yeah,
making that
that's true.
contact. You know
That's
what I'm
true.
saying? Mm,
Well, man, Stevie, again, thanks for joining us. This was a great conversation.
absolutely.
I'll let you know. We will be doing a Zoom meetup here pretty soon, and I
Okay.
will send you the meeting invite. Maybe we can have
Oh,
you
for
in a
sure. Yeah, yeah.
special
Pleasure.
guest or
Yeah.
something.
Ah, pleasure.
And
Pleasure.
then you can be our hey, look, he's our token English friend, and maybe one day we can do
Someone
another
has to do it.
interview. And I do want to get you to do an American accent next time we talk because all the English actors can do it. I need to see if you can do it. So
I doubt it. I'll try and rehearse.
okay. All right. Well, Steve, I'm gonna sign off for right now because I don't want to get us cut off prematurely. But thank you so much for joining us, brother. You have a
My
good
pleasure,
one.
Brett.
Blessings
Yeah,
to
you
you, and you
too.
stay safe.
Oh, for sure, man. Definitely.
All right. Let's see. Hold on.